Hey everybody. I'm going to be posting the replays. Yes. So if anybody can't make it, then they can watch the replay. So yeah, and if you guys want to watch it over again, then you can watch it as well. So okay, I'm excited you guys are here. I don't think anyone else is coming live, so we'll get started. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. And yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. And I already hit a different button. So okay. All right, and I'm gonna open up Canva here. Ta-da! Sorry, I had way too much fun making this PowerPoint presentation. All right. So again, thank you for coming. I'm excited to have you guys here. And if you I don't just ask any questions in the chat, or use the chat. And if you like want to unmute and say anything, you're welcome to do that as well. I think most of you saw the stuff I posted. I haven't read everything yet in there. So anyways, so we'll get started. I don't need to give you a whole background. All right. So this is kind of the overview of what we're going to talk about. I was having fun with the first one, what to call it, energetic capacity. At first I was going to talk about holding, but I didn't like that, but it's kind of the same thing of our energy and what we can tolerate. I'm also not fun. I don't like that word as much. Within ourselves, the more we can tolerate in ourselves, the more we can with others. So when we're leading, that's where like the growth comes in. The deeper we can go with ourselves, the more extremes when people come to us, when we're building something and there's a lot of intense energy coming our way, we have the capacity to manage that in a way that doesn't drain us, that we're not giving too much of ourself away, and it doesn't get under our skin as much the more you do the deep work. And when we're leading, we need to be able to respond calmly, effectively, not personally towards the other person. So, and I think that's like a huge part of the work. And then we're going to talk, I'm calling it the art of listening. And that kind of speaks for itself, like truly listening, and then the creative process. So these are the things that kind of came to me when I thought about clarity and vision, when we kind of start our journey on whatever it is that we're creating and leading. So I'll get into it more in a bit here. All right, so I put some quotes. I love Pema Chodron. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she's wonderful. So basically what I was saying before, she writes, to the degree that we look clearly and compassionately at ourselves, we feel confident and fearless about looking into someone else's eyes. So I thought that was and I think she is an amazing example. If you guys aren't familiar with her, highly recommend reading her book, When Things Fall Apart. I think she's an amazing example of a leader. just her presence, her voice, the way she writes. When I read her books and when I read her words, I feel like she's right there with me in the room. Like I can feel her energy, and it's a very like mothering, calming presence. And also what I like about her is, so sometimes I don't like, she's real and authentic. So sometimes you guys might be familiar with the like mother archetype that's nurturing, but it's really inauthentic and fake, and you can like feel like the pretend happy, right? Like so many women tend to feel like, oh, I need to put on this face. But what I've always noticed, and I'm guessing you guys are the same way, is especially when I was younger and dealing with adults all the time, I could easily tell when an adult was faking it or not. And so I was getting one message out of their mouth and then another message by feeling their energy. So what I like about Pima is her energy and her words, even though I've never met her in person, match and are aligned. And that's kind of where I'm going at with this stuff is we want our energy and words to be in alignment, and that comes from the work that we do. And then when we're in alignment, we can hold others in their energy, whatever they're coming at us with. So leaders need to have a clear vision, and it's not just to get things done, but also to emotionally hold the people who follow them. So if you think about it, and I use Pima as an example, people you look up to do this, and you guys do it as well, and you might not even realize that you're doing it. Those who are leading, who you are leading, and it could be your staff, clients, customers, family, they need to feel the strength of your unwavering confidence, while also being gentle, soft, and receptive to them. So it's kind of a bit, it can feel like a bit of a balancing act. However, if it's truly authentic, then it's not going to feel like you're on a seesaw. It just happens. It's like the pieces will fit. And so if they're not fitting, then there's something kind of more out of alignment within yourself, and that's how you'll know. And then that's also how we avoid burnout, because it will all kind of click together. So I got a typo in here already. So so I wrote, your people need to feel your confidence so that they can relax. So it is this like, I've got you attitude, instead of the on one direction, it'll be like more authoritative. We don't want that, and that's not you guys anyways. You're going to fall more on the opposite end of the spectrum if you're going to fall anywhere where you're like in the ambiguity or the uncertainty, right? And then so if you're kind of unwavering in yourself, even if you plan all the words to say, if your energy is unwavering, your people are going to feel that from you. And then that's what I mean about, the energy. So I kind of already, so sometimes people talk to me and they're more worried about being confident as coming off as arrogant. So, and again, I think that's more common with women. But my take is confidence is not arrogance, because there's insecurity and arrogance. So the reason why people feel like they have to prove themselves, or they're not being gentle and they are being harsh and they are being judgy, is because they're trying to make up for the insecurity that is in them, right? Because if you're just actually confident, then you don't need to make up for anything with coming at you, coming with that harsh energy. So yeah, I always just like to talk about this because I think I've heard it from so many people. I don't want to seem arrogant. I don't want to seem like I know it all. I don't want, and that's just not the case. So yeah, people who are arrogant do not listen deeply to others, and they're not open to other people's point of view, right? They're very much, this is the decision, this is how it's going to be, and I'm not going to handle any of your questions, comments, or concerns, because there's that insecurity piece coming in of I need to prove it, versus a real leader, they may be unwavering in their decision, and that's okay, but they'll still hear someone out. They'll still want to know, right? They'll sit down with you empathetically and show up fully. And so that's why we need to get grounded into our own vision, so that we don't feel like other people are pulling our strings like we're a little puppet. So I already said this. People are arrogant because they need a hard exterior to protect them from the shame of being wrong. Confident people are committed, but they're committed to the highest vision. Oh, I didn't put that on silent. To the highest vision and purpose. They're not committed to getting it right. So that's like a big difference. Someone that's arrogant is committed to getting it right, whereas confident people and leaders are committed to their overall vision, and they'll come back to that instead of getting hung up on those particulars. And when people can feel that your commitment is greater than yourself, you've gained trust. And that is huge. That is huge. And this is what takes the ego out of leadership, which I think for good leadership, we need to take that ego out. And we do that by keeping that vision not about you. Okay, so that kind of moves us into the next category about listening. So when people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. And I am one of those people that struggle with listening. So I full disclosure, which is kind of funny considering my job has always been to listen to people. Sorry, something, I don't know why this popped up here, but I don't know. Can you guys do, because of the chat. Oh, Ashley wrote Aquarius core. Yes, that's why that popped up. Yeah, that's it's a problem I have, but that's why I need to work on it. All right. Okay. So what I found is people often either jump into their decision too quickly, right? We're just like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and then they're going to jump in and do it. Or they keep them so vague, where it's difficult to truly commit to it, right? Because this is kind of like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want this to, so I'm going to give it so much wiggle room that it ends up being a bit vague. So this results in ambiguity and then lack of clarity and vision. So I think the first step that people skip over when developing their vision is listening. We want the thing, we want it done, we'd want it done yesterday. And I think our urgency culture, we tend to skip over like the less sexy step of really listening. So this is where we kind of come in to become still, silent, and listen to what all the parts of ourselves have to say about what we're wanting, building, or creating. And if we leave a part of ourselves out of the agreement, we're bound to have problems later. So that's where I go into more parts work. And I have a course on that in my group. But so some things that you can, so this is what I want is for people to listen to yourself and listen to all of you. So when you're kind of coming up with ideas and what is it that you're building? What is it that you're creating? How do you want to lead? Whatever it is, to get out of your head for a second and get still, come into your body and allow yourself to ask yourself, well, how does all of me feel about this, right? Because you're gonna have some inner conflict, likely. I do all the time. So coming in and actually admitting to all the different feelings and all the different voices that you're having about the thing. It's a little hard to look at, but if we just look at it from a still curious place, then we can kind of know what all those fears are. I think I go into this more a bit later, so I'm gonna pause on that thought for a second. Okay, so that's listening to yourself. So I might, yeah, we're gonna come back to that. Then listening to others. So regardless if you're a solopreneur or running a large company or anywhere in between, we still need to obviously develop great listening skills with others. The world doesn't function alone, and depending on your role in business, this step may require more or less time. So the interesting thing is, ironically, I believe creativity must come from within. However, we as humans, we're not in silos and we're deeply connected beings. So even when we go within, we're still influenced by everyone around us and everything that we digest mentally, physically, and so forth. So that's kind of like the environments that I'm putting myself in and the people I talk to, that's what I'm kind of listening for. And I'm going to digest that and I'm going to like bring that into my being. And whatever we're creating for other people, in addition for ourselves, right? It's fun, it's our creations, but we're all here to serve. And so sitting down and truly listening is with other people, something to practice. And like I said, I call myself out on it because that's something to really work on. So the art of listening is similar, regardless if we're listening to ourselves or with others. It's important to listen from a place of curiosity without pushing your end goal or agenda in mind. So I know when I have a goal, I really attach to it. I attach to it hard, and I like beeline to the end. And yeah, I don't want to hear all my other internal voices because that's overwhelming. And I feel like I need to silence those voices instead of actually sit and listen to what the voices have to say. And not to say that all my internal voices I'm going to follow or even like valid, because a lot of it's going to be coming from fear anyways, but that fear needs to be spoken and heard and handled. So it's only like, so this is actually like, we have to lead ourselves, right? So we have to lead our own peanut gallery first, so then we can lead the actual peanut gallery that we get met with. from our people, social media, wherever, when we start putting all our stuff out in the world. So I think that's like a great training ground to be able to handle other people is, yeah, if I can handle my own peanut gallery, which is the most judgmental and harsh one in existence, then now I'm super confident handling anybody else. So yeah, that's kind of one way to look at it. So yeah, so we listen first. We haven't fully created the vision yet. So this is taking a step back. I'm going to fully listen. And some of the peanut gallery might have some good stuff to say. Then maybe there are some things that I didn't consider, But again, I get to listen through curiosity. I'm not being pushed around. I don't have to follow anything that I say or anybody else says, but I'm gonna just digest what is coming. So trust that you are feeling through what all parts of yourself have to say and what other people have to say. Invite all parts of self to the table and hear out their desires, wishes, and concerns. So it's kind of just like a meeting. Like, all right, here's one of the ideas. What do you guys think? And I know it might make us sound like a crazy person, but I find it to be helpful to do that. So then I just kind of put a bunch of questions, and you don't have to like answer it. They're kind of big ones. So you can like ask yourself, what is my big dream? How does all of me feel about that? Am I excited? Am I scared? So this will help probe and get all of that information to come out. So yeah, and this isn't a problem solving time. This is just to hear it all. I know for me, I have really crazy big dreams. And part of that's really exciting, but some of it's really scary, Like it might require making some lifestyle changes in my life that maybe I don't want to make, Maybe it'll change a lot of relationships in my life that I don't want to change, So this is kind of where we get into the tougher stuff, which is why it's really important that this isn't to be solved right now, but we just need to be aware of all that big stuff that does exist. So as it does come up when we're on our journey, it's like not new information. Like, oh, yep, I'm to that real uncomfortable edge part now that I knew I was gonna get to. And now I'm feeling ready to tackle that. So it's like, we don't end up blindsiding ourselves. And that helps us into what I'm going to talk about next week. It helps us to develop a commitment, right? It's easier to be committed to something when we know some of those things that we're going to be brushing up against. And am I really willing, to do that? And we'll talk more about that next week. But I feel like this helps to like set the stage. So then so this is kind of like big vision stuff, kind of what keeps you up at night. And you can also ask, what the people that you're serving, who your business is for, what keeps them up at night, right? So this helps kind of with because those are the big questions. And usually they're similar. We tend to do the work that we most resonate with. So that's why I kind of just left the question like that. Yeah, what keeps you up at night? What plagues your mind? What do you wish to see different in the world? So those I feel like are really great big questions to kind of keep that overall vision greater than ourselves, that we kind of keep functioning at like top level. And because that just keeps so that when we get to the actual little steps, then we can ask, wait, does this relate to my overall vision? I get distracted a lot. So that can help keep us on in line, and then we can listen to the peanut gallery, and see what they have to say about does this idea over here fit here? If it does, or how can it, right? So it kind of keeps our clarity and vision, and then we lead better because we have that intact, right? If we're too much all over the place, someone comes to us and we're like, oh yeah, I can do that over here, and it actually doesn't fit, we're not going to do as a good job showing up, right? And you're more apt to drop the ball. Again, this is my lived experience talking there. Expect a surprise. I don't know, this really resonated with me, and I feel like it's a little ironic because, right, it seems like an oxymoron. Like, how do you expect a surprise? Because you expect it, it's no longer a surprise. I don't know. I just really like that. Okay. So once you have listened and digested the information coming from within you, outside of you, it's time to allow for the creative process to unfold. So now that we've embodied more of like the pain points, concerns, dreams, wishes, we get to use our everyday life to inspire us to begin to build what we are creating. So the ball's already rolling. We're always creating, whether we realize it or not. This is something I constantly remind myself. And because a lot of it is just unconscious habits, and we're used to walking through, and I guess I'll speak to myself, I'm used to walking through the world as if things are happening to me instead of me being the creator of everything that is happening. So this helps me to remind myself that everything I'm doing, I am creating. And so when we're in the creative process, we're just being more intentional, right, about that. But it's always already happening anyways. I don't really need to like do anything different. It's already happening. So inspiration comes everywhere. You can get a hit at a coffee shop, when you're with your kids, friends, from flowers, anything, So this is kind of the part. So now that we've like listened, we're digesting, now we're allowing for the inspiration to come. And so, yeah, when I get an idea and I've listened, then it's like, okay, I trust that this is going to unfold, instead of trying to sit down at my computer and like force it like out of my head. It just doesn't work like that. For me, it creates a ton of anxiety, and it just no good. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna give this up and trust that I will be met with the people and things to then know what to do. Like, I don't need to know right now in this moment. So yeah, so what helps to inspire the creative process? It's awareness, it's noticing, it's kind of walking through the world with that frame of reference. So, and that's why also I talked about listening, because if you know how to listen, if you're more like, okay, I'm just gonna like sit and listen, I'm not gonna solve right now, that helps us to just be more aware. It helps us to slow down. And then we're more privy to use it to our advantage. Like, as in, yeah, if I walk slowly into the coffee shop and I'm listening, I'm knowing, hey, cool, maybe some cool inspiration might hit me. Maybe, maybe these big ideas, I'll see something, right? And if I know that, if I've kind of like tuned my mind to that radio dial, then I can use it, right? Whereas if I'm like, I'm running around, I just need to get the coffee, I need to go because I got my list of things to do, right? Like we can miss all of that. Um, and I know it might feel like I'm getting away from like the leadership portion, but I feel like really good leaders kind of walk around in the world in that way, right? They're not the ones running around like a chicken with their head cut off, right? You don't respect that because you're like, well, that person doesn't have their shit together. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna listen to them, right? So it's again, it's like the energy that we hold when we walk in the world that way, and it has that confidence to it that I was kind of talking about earlier. At least that's
Can I
yeah,
say
yeah,
something?
yeah.
It's funny that you say that because I was getting gas today and I was just watching. I went to BJ's, so everybody's just in this like huge line. We're all waiting. And then I watched somebody just like go, like just all these people just like, you got your gas and now we go. And like we're kind of like, I thought of like ants, like we're just constantly like moving and going and like, but are we all just like stopping to like experience like we are getting gas? Like are we aware of like what we're doing? Does that sound funny or I don't know. I thought of it today and I was like, I have to like appreciate this or just absorb like what's going on, you know, instead of being one of those ants, like be more conscious.
Yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
yeah,
for sharing and making me think.
right? Yeah. And yeah, and I think, I guess I know that it, and a lot of people aren't going to notice you because they're in that little ant thing, like the rat race and blah, 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 and they're just like on autopilot. And that's fine. But when people do put their head up, they're going to be drawn to you because you're the person that's not, in that doing the ant thing that you're talking about, right? And that's what inspires a lead. Then they like are like, oh, they're intrigued by you because you're not doing what everyone else is. Your energy, your energy has sent a whole new message. And I almost feel like sometimes I feel like I'm walking around with this like secret, right? Because more and more people are like on their phones, distracted, but right, like society is going one way, right? And all this work, is very much the opposite direction. But since more and more people, it feels like because of our culture, um, are like missing this, and it's like, wow, like I got this crazy secret going on, and it happens. Like I meet people all the time because I have my head up and I'm calm and I'm confident. And it's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, what do you do? Oh, do you want to grab a coffee sometime? Oh, yeah, I'd love to network. Like, let's chat, right? You know? And that's that's how what I'm doing, with my business and building and connecting people. And it almost feels amazing that this is in a way like mind blowing or you know, um different from the norm. But it just, yeah, it feels like this fun little secret. Anyways, kind of went off on a tangent there. Um, so yeah, so if you have a presentation coming up, obviously I was thinking that because I was literally writing this presentation. Um, and so if you're not lit up about it, like listen, be aware, like allow for the inspiration to come, have a pitch that you're nervous about giving and you're anxious about closing a deal. Listen and allow for the inspiration and follow your inner wisdom. So again, it's like those reminders to like get out of the mind problem solving mode and get back like into allowing it. Because when we're stuck in our mind, we really gum up the whole process. So I wrote some like ideas on here, go to the beach and pick up rocks. Play your favorite music and dance around the house. You guys know that's one of my favorites. Go for a hike, grab a cup of coffee. I like that one a lot too. Get off your phone. Stop multitasking and start being. meditate, read, paint, anything. It can be anything. These are just ideas, things that I do, messages that I need, but write out you probably have some good ideas of already knowing, what your go-tos are. And I also notice I've got to change them up. And I feel like I might have talked about this somewhat recently. I've got to change some of those things up because these can also then become automatic, right? So once you notice that, then just change it up, and that's no biggie. You probably can come back to it later after you get away from it. But because of yeah, we are habitual beings. So once we develop a habit, we go on autopilot and then we're out of that mindset. And that's not a bad thing. That's just literally how the brain functions. And this is something that took me a while to accept because I'm like, well, I just want my schedule to be the same every day. I don't know why I want a life like that. Like there's like a big part of me that's like, I want to wake up at this time and I want to do this and I want to do the same thing every day. And right, because there's that idea of like ease and knowing, right? I don't want to have to deal with the uncertainty of the day. Ding, 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 ding. But I noticed that it does make me I'm not the person I enjoy being if I'm like living like that. So I can develop a habit, or routine, but I can't do it for long before it no longer inspires me and I have to change it up. And I've learned, oh, I've got to accept that about myself. So I don't know if you guys have that problem, but I guess I'm sharing just in case. All right. So yeah, so after you spent some time listening, sitting in awareness, taking the inspiration from all around you, now we can bring our mind into play and then like engage in some journaling and honing in, right? This is where we can like finally develop. And you'll know if you jump to this stage too soon, if you feel stuck. Another thing I've learned. So if I'm feeling stuck or if I'm feeling like I'm forcing something out of me, then I know I'd probably skip some of these prior steps and I'm just being impatient and wanting whatever done to be done. But that's also to say too, like when you're at the coffee shop or you're at the beach or whatever, bring your journal with you, like, and let yourself do the mind thing and write the stuff down, so that you can have that. That's cool and fine. But because things will start flowing when you do that stuff. It's literally feels like magic. And again, people are going to be drawn to that, right? You're like at the beach picking up rocks as like an adult, and you got like a journal and you're writing stuff down, people are like, what is up with that crazy lady? But they'll be intrigued. And then like, oh, what do you do, right? That's how you get stuff done. Okay, so all the information you've been digesting is within you and ready for to use, and it gets expressed in a way that's unique to you. And so that's the cool thing too, right? So we're digesting this, we're taking it all in. So then when we go to express it, when we turn it into whatever we're doing, it will have our own unique signature to it. And that's really where the magic is. And that's what will resonate with other people because it has your energy attached to it. Like I was saying, I've never met Pema Chodron, but yet I feel her energy in her words. I feel that she has done the work. It's not a research paper. It's not someone that just looked up some facts and put them in a book, right? We've read plenty of books that we can feel that this is just a factual move from here to here. Books where people have done the work, speeches from people who have done the work hit different because they've actually digested it and then they're bringing it out. It's like a whole different thing. And that's the stuff that's successful. and big and attractive, and that's the quality, that's the quality I need in my life from other people. And it's the quality that I need in my life for myself. Um, so I guess my standards are high and I need that. But I think everybody would be happier if they kept their standards that high as well. Um, so yeah. So yeah, journal all the things that you've been digesting, make a collage. Say this at every course I do. Ashley's probably like, but I know, and any excuse to use Canva or cut things up or all that fun stuff is good. So yeah, so now we get to formulate our vision with more precision at this point. Okay, homework. So I want you to guys play with like the steps that we talked about today. And then use the group to like share your insights, reflections, questions that arise along the way. Like, yeah, send me your photos, quotes, hits of inspiration. I kind of want to have fun this month with all this. So it's not meant to be, I probably shouldn't use the phrase homework. I just realized that. That was a faux pas on my part. So whatever you want to call it, I don't have that bad association with the word anymore, but I know I did, right? At some point where that felt not so good. So I think that's why I missed it, because I've gotten far enough away from it for it to not feel, or where it doesn't bother me anymore. So yeah, so use a different word, but have fun, right? If it feels like an obligation, don't do it. So this is like a great way to like keep that energy clean, and you can use the group for it. Like, am I engaging in the group because Stacy told me to, and I want to do my homework and be a good student? Or am I going to show up and play and have fun, right? So, yeah, so that's what I love about this stuff, is because you get to practice it like right in the moment. It's always happening. And here's like another thing. So yeah, some friendly competition. So again, so I haven't fully decided, but I'm gonna do something, and I don't know how it's all gonna pan out, but I want to give out a prize or two to like the most engaged participants. So it's meant to be fun, nothing too serious. Because the more you engage, the more I know you'll get out of it, right? And again, and I know I use the word more, that doesn't mean like it's not always more. I guess it's just, are you engaging authentically and from that energy space? Then you get to like play in that energy and use it to your advantage, versus yeah, like the has tos and obligations and all of that, because all that kills your energy. And yeah, we're just not good leaders, good people. I shouldn't say not good people, but we're not our best selves when we're in that energy. I know I'm not. So anyways, oh. Okay. Yes. Quality, not quantity. Thank you. Sometimes I use a lot of words to say the same thing. All right. Cool. I think I did pretty good on time there. 45 minutes. I think that was good. I didn't practice it. How about I'm gonna stop recording.